Hello. Thank you all for joining. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, put a message in the comments because I'm not completely sure this is working. I think it is. And I mean, pretty sure it is. Hang on, let me switch scenes for a second. Oops, that didn't work. But yeah, if you can hear me, drop a comment into the comment section, or I will check on the YouTube. Okay, hopefully that's better. I just realized there was an echo. Don't want to put you all through an echo. But welcome to the Snyk live stream. Yeah, I sound underwater. Thanks, Peter. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been doing some fancy audio routing from some stuff I learned at SnykCon last week, but we will get to that. And hence, you can probably see this funky code running on the screen right now. This is indeed a Snyk Pi. I'm going to stop the audio background. There we go. I've just stopped the audio background and I might change my scene. But this is a Snyk Pi and we will get to that in a moment. But welcome all to this SnykCon recap. Vandana will be hopefully joining us soon, but until then, you have me. So yeah, SnykCon last week was like really cool. I learned so many things. It actually took me a few days to decompress after it. I learned so much stuff. So really excited to be here and thank you all for joining me. If you're watching this replay later, hopefully you have fun too. And if you're watching it live, thank you for joining again. And hopefully you'll get something out of it as well. So where to begin? I have much things to show you. So one thing I did learn, and this was from the SnykCon, or before we did, this is before the keynote went live, we had this amazing DJ, and shout out to DJ Sam. So DJ Sam created this application, it's open source, which we love open source things, called Snyk Pi. Now, I can show you, I'm gonna do a screen share. Let me do screen share things. I thought that might be easier. Hey, there we go. Oh, it's me. Let me get rid of my OBS. So this is Snyk Pi, and basically you can use, you basically can live code music while you're, well, you can make music while you're live coding, I should say. So this is kind of cool. But what DJ Sam was doing, and I was totally inspired by that in what I was just doing, was he was outputting the code screen out into his video feed and then live mixing music and live coding while he was making the music. It was amazing. And again, shout out to DJ Sam. I have the link for that as well. Where did I put it? So many links to share. Oh, I thought I added it. Maybe I did not. Anyway, I'm going to pop that into the chat. I do have the screen share. Yeah, there we go. So this is Snyk Pi. It's free to use. There's an amazing community behind it, and they're always looking for people to get involved. So if you want to make some music while coding or some code while making music, you know what I mean, I would totally check this out. Now, what I've done, as you may have noticed, to get this to work inside my OBS, I'm actually doing a few things here, which I thought I would actually live share as well. So I have a scene called DJ. I've just got a VJ background loop running in the background, which I might actually turn off so it's easy to see. There we go. And what I've actually done is I've chroma keyed you can customize the UI for Snyk Pi. So I chroma keyed it and literally did a filter over the top, which layer, there it is. So I'm doing application display and doing a chroma key. I'm also doing a color correction just to play around with the coloring a little bit, but inside OBS. But yeah, I'm sharing this back to the community forum. So if anyone wants it, you can totally get it. But it's kind of fun. And for the audio routing, that is a little bit trickier. I'm basically using a third-party program to do that. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of routing and things going on inside that. So yes. Anyway, I would totally recommend checking it out. I was thoroughly impressed and have been having fun doing some live remixing things. Anyway, that's just one of the things we can talk about today. But SnykCon itself was absolutely amazing, and I've got so many things to go through. Probably the first thing I was closely following. I literally stayed up all night watching it all. But one of the first things, oh, there's a comment. Let me check comments. If you do have a comment, please drop it into the chat as we go through. Comment, question, or any sort of, well, any feedback. Also take emojis. Yeah, drop it into the chat, no matter where you're watching, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch. So one of the things we did at SnykCon last week was the capture the flag, or fetch the flag, which was really, really exciting. Literally the first hour, and I've got the scoreboard from capture the flag. And if you did take part in it, please drop a note in the chat because it was pretty close to watch. So in the first hour, literally there was I had like all these teams popping up into the top 10, but it was really, really close. I think there was a point, would have been around there, where there was 1 point between the top two teams, which was mind blow. I was literally watching it refresh in real time, or refresh. I was literally watching it in real time, and it was so close. The competition itself ended up so, as you can see there, I actually have a really nice MP4. I tweeted out about this too, of like that animation. But Wreck the Line, kudos to Team Wreck the Line who came first, and Team Shiso, hope I'm saying that right, but they came second. So that second place team, they were really close right at the start. That is one of their lines, that yellow line. If you can see that, yep, there we go. That yellow line there was them, like they were literally neck to neck with a couple teams right at the very start of it. In fact, they were first place for a while, and yeah, you can see they game clear second. But it was literally neck and neck there for a while. It was extremely thrilling to watch. Right at the start, there was so many teams that were really, really close. And well done to all the teams that took place in this. There is a write-up coming on the blog, so stay tuned for that one. And also some live coverage, which is, really worth checking out. If you get a chance to take part in this next year or one of the future events we run, highly recommended. The challenges are really cool, so it is totally worth checking out. One of the things I always love about these events, be it a hackathon or a capture the flag event, is always a good way to test your skills and learn new skills. Also meet some really amazing people. So the team formation before this kicked off, there was teams forming in the DevSecCon Slack. So if you haven't already joined devsecon.com, there's a link to join the DevSecon Slack group. There was a whole channel just dedicated to people looking for teams or looking for members for their teams. So great networking event, people just connecting and then sharing what they know amongst the team and being able to get hands-on and, well, basically hack something in a gamified, safe environment. Again, this is a good way to learn new skills. I'm always a big fan of not only doing through these sort of events, but also hackathons as well. It's always a good opportunity to be able to learn new things. Right, where else are we going to next? So basically, a lot of the videos are currently up on the SnykCon website. So that's the link there, snyk. Actually, I do have a banner with this one. There we go. We put the banner up. And I'll pop that into the chat as well. There we go there. So all the videos we're looking at today will be, or they're already on the SnykCon site. So you can check them out there. I'm not playing the full videos today. We're just going to talk about some of the ones that I really liked and why I really liked them and some of the sessions. Jenny, we're going to get to this one in a minute. This is one that wants to talk about. Jenny Radcliffe's talk on the human element of security. Oh, amazing. I watched the entire thing live. And then I've since rewatched the playback because it was an amazing talk, but we will get to that one in a moment. Karen El Azari, amazing talk as well. Some really good hints and tips in there as well. And then also Troy Hunt's story. We will get to that. Spoilers. We'll get to that one, and I'll also get to why I really like that one. Actually, that one I hit close to home, but we will get into that. Probably the other one to check out. Now there was a lot of announcements last week at SnykCon, including that's Liron's talk. I already have that one tagged as well. We're going to talk about Liron's talk. One of the things that I found, like, and I'm still catching up with some of the announcements, but we made a lot of announcements last week, including Snyk apps, and also the new API. We're going to take a quick that one as well shortly. And also there was, what was it? Oh yeah, that's right. So much going through my head right now. We announced in Snyk code, we announced Go support and also Ruby support too. So have gone into beta. So they are live right now on Snyk code, and you can get it in the free tier as well. So maybe we'll take a look at that. I do have a couple of those projects because as soon as it was announced, I went and tested it. So it is live now in the Snyk site, and you can try it out as well. For those that aren't familiar with the Snyk code side of things, you can basically it basically scans your source code to be able to detect some potential combinations of language code use for a vulnerability to a known vulnerability to be essentially caused. It's really handy to be able to flag code combinations and just to make sure that you're keeping it all nice, safe, and secure. So yeah, always interesting to see what comes out of that. And I've scanned things like with PHP bait, for example. I've scanned things like WordPress, Drupal, like all the common platform things. And Ruby was one that I was looking at, and also Go last week once the announcement went out. So always interesting to see what it does pick up, and then why it's picked it up as well. So you can go through and have a look at it. Always kind of cool. Anyway, that was all announced in the keynote. There was a load of stuff in the keynote. I would highly recommend checking that out. Again, that's on the main website as well, but also on the YouTube. So speaking of the YouTube, one of the things we did announce last week was the version 3 API, which basically enabled, I'm going to turn the sound off on this one because I do have sound routing through. But one of the things we did talk about was the version 3 API, which Matthew and Gary from the team, the API team, were basically talking about some of the things that they'd learned in the version 2 API, and then how that opened up into adding extra functionality, particularly around what's known as embedded apps. So this is part of the Snyk apps play that we announced last week as well. There's some really good stuff in here, particularly from an API design point of view. And like, I love API design. Oh, I should take that banner off. See, there we go. I'm going to put up the link to this talk, and also I will post that to the chat if you wanted to check that out or tag it later. There we go. One of the things I really liked about this, and particularly, like, I've done a lot of API design in the past. And in particular using OpenAPI spec, which is what we basically use for the version 3 API. Massive fan of OpenAPI spec because there's so much more you can do with it. You can auto-generate documentation, you can auto-generate SDKs, like it's really cool. Also, there's more flexibility with the design. You can have more base URLs, for example, and route through to a beta program for particular user types. Like, there's all sorts of fun things you can do with an OpenAPI spec. This talk, I totally tangented then. This talk was really cool because it was the people that have worked on the product from version 2 onwards and have basically learned from from previous iterations, and then added that with not only new functionality, but like they've made it more robust and added a whole new program to it, which is amazing because as far as API evolution goes, like that's what you want to do with your API program. So totally worth checking this out. There was actually a lot of talk around Snyk apps not only in this talk, but also in the keynote as well. So, and including some really good demos. I'm going to stop this video. There we go. I did have the documentation. So the documentation's on there. Like, this is literally generated from their Open API spec, which I'm always a big fan of doing that because it aligns the documentation with the actual API functionality. And that is great because otherwise you've got and keep both in check, and that's baby dragons. We do have a blog post right up on this too. I'm going to post that to the chat if you wanted to have a look at ways you can integrate into Snyk. Now, what's interesting with this is it's a deep integration. So if you're building extra functionality or you have extra functionality you want to add in, that deeper integration with through the API is really cool because you can add more interactive elements back to that intermediary platform or the platform that you're dealing with. So this is kind of fun. There is also a GitHub if you wanted to get started and have a look at like a demo app as well. So, which again, like big fan of this because it helps people understand how things work. But so keep in mind, this is in beta. It's on GitHub. Always happy to get pull requests, features, issues, bugs that have appeared. So, but take a look at that. I'm going to post the GitHub to the chat now as well. There we go. Just posted it. And I'll take that off there. Speaking of the API as well, I'm going to close this now because we just talked about that one. And that one, there we go. Speaking of the, I'll close that too. Speaking of the API, there was actually a really good talk. Which one is it? Oh, I have the, by one of the other product teams. Oh, I can't edit that live. Oh, that's annoying. I need to get that link. Anyway, that one's worth checking out too. So that link on the screen there now. Wait, I'm going to switch back to one of my screens. That link on this screen, .CI. So basically added some new functionality to the command line so that you can do custom security policies with the Snyk CI. I would highly recommend checking out that talk, which I really need to get to from, I should have had that open. I thought I actually did. This is fine. This is fine. See, live, what can go wrong? No, that's not the ones I was looking for. Let me go to, had it. There it is. Got it. Never mind, found it. Live video, what can go wrong? It's probably going to be really slow. My system's a little bit unhappy, but I am running a lot of things, as you saw earlier. Yeah, this one's really because you can basically define security policy at the desktop CI level. And there's a really good talk on there from some of the product owners around that as well. That's going, why is my screen going dark? Oh, there we go. Yeah, this one's worth checking out because it basically, the command line was already handy for doing like live scans and stuff. But what this enables too is to be able to define policy at that level as well, depending on how your org's working, how your security policy working. You're able to set that at command line, which is cool because I mean, I love command line. Command line's the best. Worth checking out, and it's live now, so you'll be able to play around with that as well. That one was really, really good. The other one, actually, let's talk about the Troy Hunt video because that one was amazing. I mean, I've seen Troy multiple of times do some talks, and he's always a wealth of information. In particular, for those that don't know him, he's Troy Hunt is the founder of Have I Been Pawned, which is one of the going to say popular breach websites on the internet, probably one of the most popular. I mean, ultimately, that's the place where you're able to go and check your email address and be able to find out whether you've been pawned, essentially. I actually will put the link up on the screen. I have this one handy, so I will post it to the chat as well. So this talk was really cool. Troy talked a lot about some of the stories behind Have I Been Pawned, which I'm always a big fan of. Like, there's so many stories he has around that site. The one that really kind of hit close to home was the connected car talk. Now, I have a connected car, as I'm sure some of you may that are watching. If you do, in fact, drop it in the chat. One of the things I talked about was so the in-car apps and in-car operating system for a particular brand of car. I won't mention them, although he does in the talk, so worth checking out for that. they basically use the VIN number, as you can see on the screen. They use the VIN number as part of the API request. Now, in newer cars that are connected, the VIN number is actually displayed at the front of the dash on the car. So you can get the VIN number, you can kind of get access to the car, which is concerning. And that was just the way that I discovered that this particular brand of car's operating system worked. It's questionable whether they all do this. I really hope they don't. But it was a super interesting talk. And like I said, Troy's always got a lot of, war story. I want to say war stories, but stories from the field. And in particular, the car stuff was super interesting. But there's a whole bunch of really, really solid talks in there too. So I highly recommend checking that one out. Yeah, you can see there, like the VIN number is being shown on the windscreen, and it's being used to generate an API call. What can go wrong? What can go wrong indeed? Anyway, and a lot of those connected cars now, like they all have apps that you can change the seats, you can set climate control, like you can do a lot of stuff with them, which is, I mean, I'm concerned. Anyway, I would totally check that out because that was a really, really interesting talk. The other one, Karen El-Zari, did a really good talk on the future of cybersecurity. And again, this is another talk of with a lot of stories from the field. And I always love these because literally, like, they are stories from real life, like stories from it being in production, literally. So I would highly recommend checking this one out because there was some great stuff in there that you really don't want to miss. In particular, one of the things Karen was talking about was the potential. Well, actually, this isn't even the potential. This is happening right now. But ransomware as a service. Now, I just realized I got to change the banner. Ransomware as a service, which was currently being offered by. It was actually interesting because the ransomware as a service offering was being offered to people that had been ransomware attacked. To basically, they would be enticed to be an affiliate to ransomware affiliate companies or partner companies, basically spread the ransomware around, which is like mind blown. Yeah, I would totally recommend checking this talk out because that was an entirely interesting topic in itself. Yeah, there it is there. Yeah, this was a talk, and that ransomware as a service, even as an idea, is mind blowing. But the fact that it is actually being right now is crazy. Out, totally worth having a look at. I'll post this link. Whoops, wrong one. This link into the chat as well. There we go there. Okay, cool. Which brings us to probably one of my favorite talks. Jenny Radcliffe's stories from the field was phenomenal, like amazingly phenomenal. So, and I'm always intrigued, as I'm sure many of you are, around the idea of social engineer hacking and just the nuances and how people get away with it, or not to get away with it, how people execute a social engineering attack or engagement. Jenny's got so many stories on this from the field, like literally from the field. There was one in particular. Jenny's talking about getting into offices, which is actually just coming up in the video now. So getting into offices, but what they would do is either her or a small group of people would go into the lobby of a particular office building and release locusts or some type of distraction to get through the front security desk. And then, of course, once they were in the building, it was somewhat easy to get around. But the stories from this talk were just, yeah, again, mind-blowingly amazing. So highly recommend checking it out. Jenny, and shout out to Jenny too. She was in the live chat not long after the talk, but Jenny does have a podcast too, I believe, which is also worth checking out because there's so many stories on that too, including, and slight spoilers from the video, falling from, I think it was a 2-story or 3-story height, climbing around a building trying to get into a particular section of the office. So yeah, I would. This is a really interesting talk and totally worth having a look at. I'm going to put the link for this one into the chat as well. And I'll take that one off. Might be just easier if I just put the links in the chat. We already talked about the Snyk keynote. We already talked about the API. Yes, you're all going to check out the API. And shout out to Liron too. So Liron Tal did a really good talk on hacking your infrastructure from the inside out by exploiting NPM dependency confusion attacks. So Liron does an amazing job doing all sorts of stuff around the security in the NPM ecosystem, or many of the ecosystems, in particular NPM. This talk was really cool. I mean, it's got Star Wars in it. How can you go wrong? You can't go wrong with Star Wars. Star Wars is like the ultimate amazing. So great combination of well, Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars and anything kind of go well together. So, but as you can see, he has some fun with it in the talk, and also the some of the examples are really cool and totally worth checking out. On that note too, and these videos aren't up on the. Oh, I better shut that down because my system's going to get a bit unhappy. It's already unhappy. Shout out that were run. They're not up on this site yet, but I would worth checking them out. Grant Oninges on Docker was amazing. Like I love that entire talk. Also, shout out to Waleed and Brian for their talk. Things and things don't quite go to plan, including demo solid talk. So those workshops will hopefully be up on there soon, and I would God, they're worth. The last things I wanted to go through, actually, the last thing I wanted to go for, if there's any questions, please put them into the chat if you did have anything you wanted to bring up. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was one of the programs we just launched to, which is Snyk Impact. So this is one of our impact programs that we're basically doing to align some really cool diversity and online learning, and essentially just helping that hold up for. And I would totally encourage anyone to get involved as well. Actually, I'm going to put this into chat. So this is more on Snyk Impact. Career Village is one of the things that I signed up for through that program. And essentially, this is helping people getting into tech or people with career questions. You can use your experience to be able to help them decide like how to get into a particular field in the tech industry. So how do I become data scientist, or how do I get into programming, or how hard is it to find an entry-level job as a fresh engineering graduate, et cetera, et cetera. This is one of those nice ways to be able to give back and, help the emerging generation be able to get involved with the tech industry and, well, just share what you know, which is essentially, how open source works anyway. So there's a whole bunch of other programs as well through the Snyk Impact program. So totally worth checking out, including, I mean, I'm a big open source advocate anyway, and that whole Career Village play is basically how much of the open source world works. Like we're always, a lot of the meetups we do engagements with, it's always done with the idea of, together we all grow. Like we share what we know and everyone learns, and then together we all grow through that as well. So, and this is that, like, we're just helping the next generation emerge into different careers. So there's a lot of non-technical stuff in here too, but obviously I've got a lot of experience in the tech field, so I like helping the tech folks, but you help where you can. I think that's about it, unless anyone's got any questions. I might, I'm not sure if Vandana is going to be joining. I'm sure we'll get to talk to her soon. Anyway, I might leave it there unless anyone's got anything they want to put into the comments. Nope. But if you want to catch me on socials, reach out, say hi. Can check out those sessions that I've dropped all the links for. Those are the ones I found super interesting, but they were all really good. have a look through the SnykCon website and see, what else there is. Reach out if you do find something of interest, either in the stuff I've posted or something I haven't posted, just something in general. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now, but thanks for dropping by.